Okay, so let's return to the theories of diet because they are aimed at neuropeptides, the excessive endogenous opioids. So there's two theories. The first is that these enzymes are responsible for breaking down the peptides into smaller pieces. So if an enzyme is missing or works sluggishly, then the peptides may not be degraded into small enough pieces or components to go through the system, and leads to a buildup of undigested peptides. The second is probably a little more prominent. It's called the leaky gut theory. And what that means is we have a lining in our gut that acts kind of as a sieve or a fishnet that keeps the larger fish but lets the smaller fish swim. And so if you have a leaky gut, you may have a hole in your net, or your net is too porous. And so some things like opioid peptides are being absorbed before they have a chance to really be digested. So they're not being screened, they're coming out whole. So even though Jenny McCarthy says this is not true, the objective research shows that the same level of stomach complaints in ASD are the same level of stomach complaints in typical developing children. There have been numerous studies that have shown a gluten-free diet doesn't lead to significant reduction in peptide levels. So the theory is that you need to use this diet to address the peptide levels, but it doesn't do that. And as I mentioned before, there's only one randomized study that shows behavioral improvements, but it did not measure peptide levels. It measured parent report. So we have very clear scientific information that a gluten-free diet does not do what the theory at least proposes that it does. So we've covered a lot of ground, some of it a little shaky and a lot of it fast. But the important things to remember is we really don't have a cure. If somebody says, I have a cure for autism, at this point in time, run, they're a snake oil salesman. We do have good evidence-based interventions and some promise for treatments. But we need to focus our energies and focus our family's energies on those treatments that are supported by science. And not these treatments that really have not been proven yet. Just because a child has a disability does not mean that they should be a guinea pig. I don't think that's fair. Their quality of life is just as important as ours. And historically, you may say, well, of course, but historically what's happened in the medical profession as children with autism are seen as okay kind of ways to use non-proven things on them. Secretin is a perfect example. For a while there, doctors were giving IV secretin to children in their offices, and they didn't even have resuscitation equipment if these kids happened to be allergic. And we know that children with autism do have higher allergies. So what we do with children with autism needs to be done responsibly and with respect for them. What we do know is there's no one right treatment for all children with autism, and that whether it's medical, behavioral, educational, at this point we have science that can point us in the right direction, but we don't have science that says if you have autism, do this. We have science that tells us if you have autism, these are the tools that are available, and judicious use and pairing of these tools with the individual in front of you can produce the best results.